Comedies are one of the biggest, most quotable, and popular movie genres ever. Borat, Anchorman, The Hangover, Talladega Nights, Wedding Crashers, Men in Black. Wait, where did these movies go? And by these movies, I'm talking about big studio comedies. Ones with movie stars, relatively big budgets, and even bigger marketing campaigns. And most importantly, I'm talking about comedies that made a lot of money. In 2009, Comedies made $2.5 billion at the box office, and in 2015, the comedy genre as a whole barely made just over $1 billion. The 2010s weren't kind to comedies. Not only did the genre as a whole make less money, but individual movies made less and less. The last time a comedy movie made over $200 million was in 2012 with Ted. And the last time a comedy made over $100 million, well, that was 2017 with Girls Trip. In terms of box office, the last successful comedy was Good Boys in 2019, and that movie made $83 million domestically. The 2010s were also absent of any significant comedy franchises. The closest we got were Neighbors, the 21 Jump Street movies, and Ted, but even still, those movies were only sequels rather than trilogies. So why aren't big comedy movies around as much? Does it have to do with the audience not being as interested in them, a lack of quality, or has Hollywood just decided to stop making them? Some might attribute the death of comedy films to woke or cancel culture, but that's not really the case at all. Comedy films haven't died, they've just evolved. Instead of packing as many jokes as possible into a 90-minute script, the way of making a comedy movie has changed. Movies just focused on comedy aren't as prevalent anymore. Instead, you might have a drama that happens to have hilarious moments. Even horror movies have embraced comedy in the last decade with movies like Get Out or Us. A comedy movie with 90 minutes of jokes is incredibly difficult to pull off, which is why when a comedy is amazing, it's remembered forever. But what's a lot more manageable is making a movie and inserting comedy into that. But this doesn't mean that comedy movies are completely dead and gone. If someone is doing a full-blown comedy movie, they're just presented differently. In a way, comedies are bigger than ever, and that's because they've evolved into superhero movies. Instead of comedies starring Will Ferrell or Adam Sandler and all his friends, they now star Thor, Spider-Man, or the Guardians of the Galaxy. Sure, they're still superhero movies packed with action scenes and have the typical story beats we've come to expect in a Marvel movie. But there's no denying that these movies are just as much about superheroes as they are about making the audience laugh. Or take for example the Deadpool movies. Both made nearly $800 million and are both comedy movies first and then superhero movies second. And those are just the comedies on the big screen. If you're looking for that classic Adam Sandler comedy, you still have those, you just probably won't be able to watch them at a movie theater. Murder Mystery from Adam Sandler can be seen on Netflix and was the most watched release from the streaming service in 2019. So it's safe to say people still have an appetite for this kind of content. And who's to say comedy has to just be restricted to movies? TV shows are funnier than ever now with shows like Fleabag, Big Mouth, and The Boys. Maybe comedies aren't the best platform for movie theaters. After all, comedies are so dependent on our mood and whether or not we want to laugh. Instead of going to the movie theaters for a laugh, it's so much easier to just turn on a streaming service and watch something immediately. So it's not that people have lost their sense of humor. People are probably trying to laugh more than ever these days. It's just that maybe comedies as we know them have changed and have probably changed for the better. Instead of 90-minute laugh fests that can often fall short, now it's just about comedic moments. And you still have those traditional comedies on whatever streaming service you choose. So no, comedy or comedic movies are far from dead. They've just changed and it's for the better.